Several people, including an infant, are killed after tornadoes sweep through the Midwest. And demonstrations by dueling groups turn physical on the campus of UCLA. The Morning Rundown starts now.
From the Straight Arrow News Studio, bringing the stories that matter to you from across the United States and around the world. This is the Morning Rundown.
Today is Monday, April 29th. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kara Rucker. At least 4 people are dead, including a young child, after tornadoes swept through Oklahoma on Sunday, just one of several states in the Midwest that are recovering from dangerous weather conditions.
Everything's flying there.
This was the scene in Nebraska on Friday afternoon when a tornado plowed through suburban Omaha. Dozens of homes and buildings were damaged, but no fatalities were reported here. One local health official calling it miraculous that there were no serious injuries. There were more than 100 tornadoes reported in 6 states at the start of the weekend, including in Iowa, with one person who was critically wounded in the storm, later dying from his injuries. Less than 36 hours later, the National Weather Service saying EF3 tornadoes struck Oklahoma, leaving more than 20,000 people without power. Officials reporting significant damage across the state. One person was killed when 4 semi-trucks overturned on Interstate 35 in Marietta. Officials identified another victim as 4 months old. Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt has signed an executive order declaring a disaster emergency in the state. It was a contentious scene on the campus of UCLA on Sunday. Dueling demonstrations over the war in Gaza clashed as pro-Palestinian protesters and pro-Israeli protesters got into physical altercations. School officials saying the protests had remained peaceful until a barrier separating the groups was breached. Members of both groups were said to have traded shoves and punches. Campus police, armed with batons, were able to separate the demonstrators. The UCLA vice chancellor saying the university is heartbroken that violence broke out on their campus. UCLA had allowed the 2 groups to protest, but added there were some people from outside the university involved in both demonstrations. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has traveled to Saudi Arabia, where he is speaking with leaders of several Arab nations about the war in Gaza. The State Department saying Blinken spoke with Saudi Arabia's Minister of Foreign Affairs this morning about ongoing efforts to release the hostages still being held captive by Hamas, as well as a pathway to a Palestinian state with security guarantees for Israel. Blinken is expected to speak with Arab and European leaders later in the day to discuss Europe's part in rebuilding the Gaza Strip. Blinken's arrival in Saudi Arabia comes a day after President Biden spoke with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on the phone about a possible ceasefire and warning against an Israeli attack on the Gaza city of Rafah. As part of Blinken's trip to the Middle East, he will next head to Jordan, then Israel. Former President Donald Trump and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis met privately for breakfast in Miami on Sunday to discuss raising funds for Trump's 2024 presidential campaign. The talks between the presumptive Republican nominee and his one-time rival lasted several hours and described as friendly. This encounter comes just weeks after NBC News reported DeSantis pledged to donors during a private event that he'll help fundraise for Trump's campaign. DeSantis suspended his presidential campaign in January and announced he was backing Trump, despite the 2 being opponents during a heated primary season. Tesla CEO Elon Musk has made an unexpected visit to Beijing, coinciding with the city's first major auto show in 4 years. During his visit, Musk met with the Chinese premier Li Cheng. This meeting comes as Tesla announces that local Chinese authorities have lifted restrictions on its cars after the vehicles passed China's data security standards. Tesla is also partnering with a Chinese tech giant to use its mapping and navigation technology, allowing data collection on China's public roads. The reported deal could lead to Tesla's driver assistance system, known as full self-driving, being offered in China. Finally this morning, Major League Baseball is addressing an error, not one made by players, but one being blamed on Nike. In a memo reported on by ESPN and The Athletic, the MLB Players Association says the league will modify the team's uniforms following complaints from players after changes were made to their standard jerseys and pants this season. MLB is planning to fix such issues as returning to larger lettering on the back of jerseys, making sure colors of the tops and bottoms match, and fixing the pants, which players have criticized as being see-through. The uniforms were designed by Nike and manufactured by Fanatics, with the memo reading, "This has been entirely a Nike issue." The union saying the updates will occur by the beginning of the 2025 season. These are your top stories for this Monday. Unbiased, straight facts. That's Straight Arrow News. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Until then, I'm Kara Rucker. Have a great day.